there's nothing new in the issue of what effect technology has on open and closed societies. When faxes were being sent into Hungary to get information out, some people said this changes everything. Some people said the issues are still the same. Scott Shane, who's at the New York Times now, wrote a great book called "Dismantling Utopia: How Information Ended the Soviet Union." And certainly, there was a famous essay called "The Facts Will Make You Free." I think that technology today has given dissidents unparalleled power, but the issues have changed significantly. In the Soviet era, it was exceedingly difficult to alert the world of what was happening. One study that I read said that from 1950 to 1975, I think only 1,500 pieces of samizdat underground literature were brought out of the Soviet Union for the West to understand what was happening behind the Iron Curtain. And journalists like yourself played a critical role in telling the world and telling their stories. Today, there's no hiding what's happening in Syria, because every second or two, a new video is posted on YouTube of a slaughter. So the challenge has changed from getting information out of closed societies more toward how to empower those with maximum backing who can really affect change in those societies. So what we tried to do at Movements was to provide a one-stop shop platform where a dissident can log in, and you're right, they can use their name and they cannot use their name. There's a star ranking system for how much information you put or whether we know you in advance. And we tried to apply the power of the crowd. Crowdsourcing is an incredibly impactful thing, which we all use every day. When you go to Amazon and you buy a book from whoever it is selling it, or you go to eBay, or you go to Airbnb, or whatever the site is that links people from around the world. And I think that the human rights movement is stuck a little bit a few years back. A lot of long-form reports still. And I think there's just more powerful ways of getting tools in the hands of those who need it. So just in the last week, we've had the son of former Jordanian Prime Minister asked for publicity about his cartoon books to counter ISIS, to build positive heroes. We've had multiple political prisoners from Syria and Egypt and Iran and Saudi Arabia posting. And indeed, just last week, 2 Saudi political prisoners, one the wife of Raif Badawi, the most famous jailed blogger, and the other one, Manal al-Sharif, the woman who went to prison for driving, connected with journalists directly through Movements. And so we're seeing North Korean defectors connect with technologists, and Syrian political prisoners connect with PR groups. I mean, you think about how we can tip the balance away from the regimes and more towards the dissidents. Right now, the regimes have all the money. They have billions of dollars that they spend in PR and at Monitor Group or Hill & Knowlton or Corvus, the Saudis have spent so much money on. Who counters that, and what's the best way to counter that? Well, one way is for every PR agent in the world to be able to talk directly with a democratic dissident, to take up his case and to make sure that the world knows about his struggle. You look at issues of technology. Certainly it's so difficult when you're up against the Iranian cyber army or the Chinese, who can crack anything. Right. But the one consistent theme that I've noticed from working with dissidents for the last few years is that almost across the board, they think that the technology is a huge help to them. Mm-hmm. And even though you have the regimes, the cat and mouse game is always there, but there's something to be said for the fact that you can now put your words online and potentially have it seen by the whole world. The converse of that, though, and the downside of it, is that in the Soviet era, people knew the names of Sakharov and Havel and Sharansky, and you had 250,000 people on the Washington Mall. Nowadays, you can't name an Iranian blogger in prison. Not you per se, but the average American. How many of us can name a Chinese dissident in prison? And so it's a kind of ironic twist to the saga that it's easier than ever to get information out, but dissidents are less and less known, and we seek in a small way to change that.